I'm Dave. I'm going to lead you through this module of the seated positions and the cueing and the alignments. So what you will need during these sequences is a yoga belt and a yoga block, because what I'd like to do is firstly show you the posture itself, the asana itself, but then show you how you would maybe teach that to a beginner or somebody with tight hips. Okay, so if you can make sure you've got your yoga block and your yoga belt, we'll get started. Staff pose. Okay, so this is trickier than you think. You think it was just sitting up straight, which it kind of is, but if we activate the pose properly, even though you're just sat still on the floor, it's a very active pose. Physically, there's a lot going on. I'll explain that to you now. So again, if you have like a beginner's class or somebody again with sort of lower back pain, yoga block. Okay, so we start, it's a seated pose. We sit, so you want your ankles together, your knees together, and then that lift up of any muscles away from the sit bones. If you don't do that, if your muscles are underneath your sit bones, it kind of makes the pelvis do this, which makes the body want to do this, which makes sitting upright really uncomfortable. It's very much in the lower back. But you might find if people are really tight in the hamstrings, they'll sit like this anyway, because it's the hamstrings that are pulling the pelvis down. If that's the case, sit yourself up on your yoga block, and you want to sit sort of forward on it, so it's, you see how that's now tipping my pelvis up the way like this, and that means that all of the pressure in my lower back has sort of disappeared now, and I feel like my coccyx and everything is supported. So anybody who you think is sat and looking really uncomfortable, just get them to sit on the front edge of the block and lift it up, because this is where we all start. When I first started yoga, I carried a yoga block and a belt around with me everywhere I went, and so slowly over time I've not needed it, but it's always a handy thing to have, and it's a good thing to have in your class, because it means that it's accessible for anybody. Any poses that you can do, pretty much if you've got a yoga block and a yoga belt, you could be able to do every single asana in the class. Okay, so thinking ankles are together. If you need to be up and onto the block, sit up onto the block, or if not, just lift them muscles so you feel the sit bones sit down. So any sort of curve in your back like this is going to really feel like somebody's got a hold of the back of your shirt and they're pulling you this way. You'll really feel awkward. So what you want to do is, how you eliminate that is, if you think between just below your belly button and the bottom of your sternum, if you lengthen that, what it does, you see how it pulls the back in. Now there's also this lifting up of the pelvic floor, Mula Bandha, and the tummy in, Uddiyana Bandha. So the legs are active in this pose, they're not just out in front of me. So the ankles are together, knees are together, and the toes are drawing back towards your knees. So what that does is it activates, as I do that, you'll see it activates the thigh muscle, which keeps the knee from doing this. Okay, because we're always looking for length. When the knees start to bend, what's actually happening is we start to shorten things. So always think length, and then this lifting up, and the lift up, and then the hands are down by the side. So you're really not pushing into the hands like this to stay there. The hands are rested. But if I lift the chest and draw the shoulder blades down the back, the shoulder blades come down and sort of lock into the intercostal muscles and help support the back. It means that you can sit there for a longer period of time. Remember, you can always be up on your block, but the hands are rested. So the spine, if I'm bent like this, you can see there's a curve in my spine now. We want to keep that Sushumna Nadi long. This is where all of the information is coming from, so we need that always elevated and strong. We can support it by the engagement of the banders, and the hands are down by the side. So the crown of the head, what's in my mind, what I'm thinking is I'm trying to touch the ceiling with the crown of my head, so I'm encouraging length through the spine. And then once the pelvic floor is lifted and the tummy's in, the breath is all in the chest. So we keep the lower spine supported down here, and then the breaths are nice and deep. So it's a ujjayi breath. The breath is in the heart. So you can see on the inhale and the exhale, my tummy isn't moving because I need to have this to support the lower back. So I'll put my hand here so you can see. So you see how the breath is in the chest, and then the shoulders are relaxed down the back, which engages the intercostals. Chin is level with the floor. Your drishti can be to the tip of your nose or to your feet, or you can have the eyes closed and focus on the third eye. So toes are back, thighs are lifted, long spine, tummy in, deep breaths. So after a while, you realise just how difficult it is to just sit up straight, how active that pose is. When the thighs are lifted, the knees are down to the toes are back, you're lifting the pelvic floor. So even though we're in stillness, we are so active in the body. So again, breath and all of these things are so important, that we connect with the breath and we keep our focus, and we use the banders to aid ourselves, keep that spine nice and long. There we have it.
Okay. Keep smiling.